been plenty of talk about the Giro d'Italia's start in Israel, and certainly plenty of controversy as well. But what's the race actually going to be like? Is it possible to keep sport and politics separate in this case? What about the Israeli cycling scene? Is there much of a scene to speak of, and what impact is the race going to have on that scene? These are some of the questions I want to try and answer while I'm on the ground here. How exciting is this, having the Giro d'Italia visit your country?
Well, I can't really pronounce how excited I am, along with everyone in Israel, because this is like, besides the biggest sport event, it's the biggest event in Israel, in the history of Israel, and for us cyclists, it's like a dream come true.
As far as locations for a time trial at a Grand Tour go, this is pretty impressive. This is the walls of the old city here in Jerusalem. Pretty hard to comprehend the history of this place here and just what it means to so many people. More than 3,000 years of history, multiple empires, lots of bloodshed and violence, but a super important place. At the team's presentation here, really impressive atmosphere actually. People at Jerusalem seem to be getting behind the Giro d'Italia. We were in the bus trying to get our way from the hotel to the start of stage 1. We'd run into all kinds of issues with security and police and roadblocks and everything, so we ended up just walking. It turned out to be really good. Get to see a different part of Jerusalem that we didn't see before, and get an appreciation for the city before we head to the time trial. One of the biggest questions I had coming here to Israel was how safe the race would feel and whether I would feel secure being here at the race. I can honestly say that I do. It feels as safe as any other race that I've been to. 4,000 security staff have been posted to this race to ensure the safety and that everything runs as it should. I was standing at the team presentation the other night, and at the very end of the evening I found myself thinking that not only was I not worried about my security throughout the night, I wasn't even really thinking about it, so that must be a good sign.
He takes the stage victory. Team Sunweb, Tom de Milan.
Bist du mir zugeschickt?
I reckon this is a pretty good indication that the locals here in Israel are getting behind the Giro d'Italia. Just behind me is the queue for the merchandise tent at the start of stage 2, and as you can see there's plenty of people lining up to buy hats and t-shirts and really get into the spirit of the Giro d'Italia. There's only one team here with a bus at the start of stage 2, and that is of course the Israel Cycling Academy, and the reason for that is pretty simple. They're the local team, they have a bus here. The rest of the teams are all based in Europe, and their buses are back in Europe, and getting them here would just be too hard. So they have rented minivans to transport the riders, and similar minivans to transport all their gear as well.
And the final member of the team will... 3, 2, 1, away!
What's the cycling scene like here in Israel? Is it big? Is there lots of people riding? Is it getting bigger?
Well, it used to be quite low, and now because of the Israel Cycling Academy project, it gives hope to young people to develop. Because back in the past, people knew that when they drafted the army, probably after this, they stop. And this is what usually happened. And now with this project, which is amazing, okay, it gives young people more hope. So we see the level goes up, and it brings more attention, and also because of this you see more cyclists on the road. Yeah. So there is also more, drivers are aware, they put more signs on the road, be aware of cyclists for where we usually ride.
There's not a massive number of cyclists that ride in the big cities here in Israel, and a large part of that is down to the infrastructure. There just isn't the bike lanes or bike paths that make the cycling feel safe or something that people want to do.
What I do usually, and a lot of other people, we take the car, sometimes not, but we go outside, park in Latrun, which is not very far away from Jerusalem, and we go inside the Jerusalem mountains.
Yeah.
So about 5-10 kilometers from here, this is the best place to cycle in this area.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys, like, it's a different view. You see green,
Yeah.
different roads, different like atmosphere, people, totally different.
Basically, we're here in the Jerusalem mountains in an area which is called the Chirvat Sa'adim. It's an ancient Byzantine farm area. Now the JNF has turned it into a forest and a very large recreational area with a very well developed infrastructure of mountain biking.
These guys here made quite a splash yesterday on the coverage of the Giro when they were spotted riding alongside the peloton on the freeway on a tandem with one rider facing in each direction. Very strange look, but very cool, and it captured a lot of people's imagination.
Stage winner into Tel Aviv. The new leader of the Giro d'Italia, Dennis.
It's 10:30 at night here in Tel Aviv, and we're just about to go and ride some bikes. Apparently this is the best time of day to be riding because there's not as much traffic around. So.
Right down.
That's the Ramon crater to your right.
All day we've been getting stopped by police on our journey south to Eilat. And here we're in the Ramon crater, and looks like everyone's been stopped. Not quite sure what's going on here. There's certainly no doubt that there's been plenty of controversy around the Giro's visit to Israel, with a lot of people saying that Israel is using the race to try and improve its image or to distract people from issues going on like the current violence happening on the edge of the Gaza Strip. The organisers of the Giro, though, they've said they want to keep the race and politics separate. But is that realistic?
Israel claims that this is not political. This is not true, and I think the world needs to know that you cannot bring a race to Israel and not make it political. Israel is holding this race as a key event in the celebrations for the 70th anniversary of the founding of the State of Israel. So the moment that they decided to host this a sports event for something that is that sensitive and politicized, then yeah, they turn it into a political event. Also, when they insisted on holding the race in Jerusalem, and also insisted that the organizers take out the West and keep only Jerusalem, I think they also in a way knew that this was going to cause controversy, and this is also going to be seen as a violation of international law. So when they took out the West, they also used the race as to send a political message to show the world that Jerusalem will be the Jewish state's undivided capital, and it's in itself completely kind of ruined the beauty of sports, the fact that sports unites people. I mean, Israel is going to do whatever they want. They would want to bring any amazing event in the world to Israel to give a better image. But my problem is with it, with the Italian kind of part, people who are involved in the race. Does really money make us really neglect human rights violations? Does money make us forget about the other people? I mean, why did they agree to bring the race to Israel, knowing that it will be used as a PR stunt?
There's obviously controversy about the race being here and a political situation that's quite complex. How much of that are you guys aware of as riders or interested in, or do you talk about that sort of thing?
As the riders, we probably don't know enough about the political situation to be answering questions like this or to be involved in that sort of discussion, where we're just here to race our bikes, to be honest. Like, yeah, sure, it's a little bit in the background, but we're here to race bikes.
Israel is actually quite a small country, and certainly smaller than I thought before I got here. But even though it's small, it's got this real diversity to it in terms of the terrain and the landscape. Here in the far south of the country, on the border of Jordan and Egypt, and actually Saudi Arabia, not far down this way as well, it's basically all desert with the Red Sea just here. But as you go further north, it changes considerably. So beyond the desert, you start to get into the rolling hills around Jerusalem. If you head west, you've got the Mediterranean coast out near Tel Aviv. And then if you go further north again to the border of Lebanon and up near Syria and the Golan Heights, you've got these mountain ranges that peak at more than 2,000 meters. So it's a very, very diverse country. There's a lot to see, and I've actually been surprised by how beautiful it is.
4 rounds forward, turning up the pace. We're going to go under the red point. Ladies and gentlemen, the Maglia Rosa, BMC Racing Team's Rowan Dennis.
So what's my take on the Giro starting in Israel? Well, it's complex, as these things always tend to be, but here are my main thoughts. From a political point of view, I really don't think it's possible to separate sport from the politics of the region, and I think the organisers of the Giro were tone deaf at best to bring the race to Israel. We know that money talks, but in this situation, I really don't think it should be the only thing that we listen to. In terms of the racing itself, the time trial was great. That course was tough, it was technical, and it was a great crowd that came out to watch. As for the road races, I think we can probably agree that was a real missed opportunity. We've already got enough desert races as it is, so it would have been nice to see something different than a couple of stages straight down desert highways. Particularly given there's so much great riding in Israel, it would have been great to see the race go to the north into the mountains or head around the hills just outside Jerusalem. I think it's clear that the Israel cycling scene is pretty small, and it's going to take decades really for that to grow, but I think the building blocks are there. I think bringing the Giro to Israel will inspire more people to get into bike riding, and I think the Israel Cycling Academy has a real role to play to provide a pathway for young Israeli cyclists that are coming through the ranks. And just a final thought about the crowds. I was genuinely surprised to see how many people came out to watch the racing, and not just the number of people, but also the enthusiasm of those people that came out to watch. There's a real curiosity in Israel about bike racing and about the show and the spectacle and the characters that came out to race, and I think anytime we can bring cycling to a new market or inspire new people to ride bikes, that's only going to be a positive thing. I guess the thing is that doing so in Israel and bringing a race like the Giro to Israel comes with its own set of significant challenges.